Berdly is racist. After playing through chapter 2, there was something that stuck with me the entire game. It wasn't the funny jokes, the new lore, or the amazing characters, but this one line.
The brute force method. Ha! A caveman could do it! Except cavemen died out because they are stupid!
Now as you know, Kris is the only human in town, and Deltarune's world likely consists of mostly monsters, based off of this notable difference in numbers. So why would Berdly specify cavemen and not cave monsters? Now, we could brush this off as a lack of words. Perhaps caveman covers both humans and monsters. However, most dialogue tells a different story.
Remember, she used to even be afraid of humans under the bed.
Gingerbread men and gingerbread monsters, of course. Always like them better than giant human movies.
Just a note, Susie is specifying a preference to the movie, not the giant. This could be due to tropes, trends, and common differences between them. But given the context and the fact that her closest friend currently is a human, this is not a case of prejudice against humans. The above examples show things that directly mention either monsters or humans have counterpart that involves the other. As far as I know, every example of humans and monsters in this way invoke this kind of trend. Except for when Berdly brings up cavemen. Of course, we could consider this as a case where he was unable to bring up the monster version. However, I believe that analyzing his other interaction with Kris only confirms his prejudice. The first scene is the battle on the roller coaster. Now here, Berdly mentions that, unlike Susie, he always saw potential in them. This seems to contradict the whole Berdly's racist concept, but if you accept his offer, he gets mad at you for saying it incredulously.
What? Don't say it so incredulously!
If you don't know what it means, incredulously is defined as in a manner indicating disbelief. So essentially, Kris responded to Berdly with yes, sounding rather surprised. This is an extremely weird thing to get mad about, especially given how a surprised manner would make complete sense in this situation. A friend has become an enemy, you wait, offered the chance to switch sides, etc. As this option still leads into battle, it's more likely that he came solely to fight and only offered Kris the option to join in order to prove his superiority. Which brings us to the next line.
Well, if you're dead set on proving your inferiority...
I feel that line explains itself really. Berdly outright states here that he thinks Kris is inferior to him here, whether you agreed to join him or not. While you could claim that this is referring to the Fong gang as a whole, he was speaking directly to Kris right before saying this line, so it would make much more sense for him to still be talking directly to Kris. Alternatively, this could be referring to Kris's intelligence, which is likely what he meant. However, this then wouldn't make sense when Kris says yes to joining. As to Berdly, that would be the smarter decision. Either he wants to fight Kris no matter what, or inferior means inferior to him in a different way. Most likely they show inferior. It's possible he meant something else, but in any case, this dialogue does not look too good for him.
So rather than studying, you'd enlist Susie to take us down!
Anyways, onto the battle itself. In Berdly's dialogue in his first battle, he almost always refers to Kris with only one line for anyone else, being Susie. He claims Kris is jealous that they never study and that they're depraved, morally corrupt. He even claims that Kris has been gazing distantly at Noel and his fruited figures during class. However, each of these are extreme assumptions. Kris has a computer at their house, so they would not need to go to the library where Berdly works in order to study. Kris sits behind Berdly in class, so they can't face the teacher without looking past him and occasionally Noel. And both Kris being jealous and depraved are both major rude assumptions on Berdly's part. Now compare all of these negative and rude assumptions towards the one human in town to what he says to Susie. To quote the wiki so I don't have to spend forever finding another screenshot,
Look, Susie, the closest you'll ever get to an A!
while very rude, is directed at someone known for not doing well in school and who is viewed mostly negatively by nearly everyone in town, except for every member of the Fong gang, funnily enough. This is much less than all of the crap he gives Kris. Now, for his second battle, the dialogue mid and post battle doesn't have much more that contributes here, but the dialogue before battle adds a lot to this theory.
Kris is forcing you to be on their side. Kidnapper, Kris, or choose. It's over.
Before battle, Berdly accuses Kris of kidnapping Noel. funny misunderstanding, sure, but consider the situation here. A person from a racial majority sees a woman of the same race with a person from a racial minority and assumes that the person has kidnapped the woman and is forcing her to be with them. Does this remind you of anything? This is a clear-cut case of Berdly making prejudiced assumptions against the one human in town yet again. Finally, there is the palace. Aside from the caveman dialogue mentioned earlier, there isn't too much to pull from the dialogue stated here. However, one of Berdly's choices does give quite a bit of info.
Oh, Kris. Kris, you and your lackey distract Queen.
When Susie and Berdly go to rescue Noelle, Berdly specifically excludes Kris. On first glance, this seems to be in order to try and better get with Susie. However, remember how the scene plays out? Susie saves Noelle, bring her to the Ferris wheel, to the bar where Berdly meets them. Then, when Berdly arrives, Susie leaves. No part of his plan actually involved him interacting with Susie. So, why would he have a problem with Kris helping rescue Noelle? Again, the most likely answer seems to be the prejudice against humans. And with that, I have gone over all the parts of this theory. There are likely a few points here and there that could be polished or might have holes in them, and I'm sure I missed some dialogue somewhere where Berdly was ridiculously racist in some way. Anyway, thank you for reading and listening to this theory. We can now, for once and for all, with 100% certainty confirm
Berdly is a gamer.